Hi, I'm Daedry. You may have seen me in the previous video, which was the first installment of this Cheating Death series. If you did, then you know that in the last video I did state my next encounter was about age 11 or 12. However, the next one was actually about at age 8. It was about a year later, or somewhere thereabouts, maybe not even a full year. So again, a little about me. I am naturally very spiritual. I've always been an empath. I've had precognitive dreams all throughout my life. Also, I've predicted 2 deaths, unfortunately, in my life. A family member and a relative, as well as having telepathy, telepathic experiences, telepathic dreams. I had a vision when I was 9. I had 2 past life memories, one when I was 6 and another one actually earlier this year, and numerous other things. I'm just highly spiritual. I'm not a medium yet. I don't consider myself psychic per se. I'm very intuitive, but if I'm sitting next to you, I won't exactly be able to read all of your thoughts. No, I won't be able to read your thoughts, but I can read your body language very, very well. I can size you up. I've never been religious except for the brief time that I was a born-again Christian, and I was basically a fanatical Christian. I was a complete fanatic. That's where they get the word fanatic. So I was a fan of Christianity at the time. I was a fanatic. As well as being able to speak in tongues, which I still can do, because once you can speak in tongues, you pretty much can speak in tongues for the rest of your life. I guess it's just like a spirit that's put in you and it never goes away, I guess, unless you try to cast it out or something. I don't know. Anyway, I gave that brief background because I know that a lot of the times spiritual things, and when it comes to like guardian angels and things like that, people consider that to be spiritual. So I try to just throw that in there, a little bit about me, because I could actually come out and say I was an atheist, and then you'd wonder, well, why the heck is she cheat death, But anyway, not that they can't, they do. So my next encounter was at the same complex, and if you didn't see that video briefly, my family and I, we moved from New York, where I was born, to Georgia, where we stayed for I think it was about 2 or 3 years or something like that. We lived in a nice big house, and then we moved into a condominium neighborhood, and it was really nice as well. But anyway, we ended up moving to Florida, where close family was, and we moved into a really nice, well, at least I think it's nice, apartment complex. Nice one with the pool and the tennis courts and the clubhouse and the scenery. And it's Florida, so you're gonna have the beautiful palm trees and things like that. So it was comfortable. It wasn't anything luxurious, but it was decent, in a pretty safe neighborhood. So anyway, at least I thought. Once you hear the story, you'll wonder. Okay, so anyway, this was, I'm guessing it had to have been a weekend, because I was out at the pool, which I rarely went to. I mean, even though it was right there, we could use any time, I rarely went. Hence the reason I was not a great swimmer at the time. I mean, now I love swimming. I mean, swimming is one of my favorite pastimes. But, and I'm not an expert swimmer, but I do love swimming. But at the time, I didn't, I didn't really swim. So, we were in a pool with a lot of kids and of all ages, you know. And again, for my last video, if you know, didn't see that one, I was very thin for my age, very thin at the time. I was tall for my age, but I was very skinny. I was strong, I was agile, but that was my, aside from being cute, being skinny was my claim to fame. Yeah, whatever. I didn't like it because people always had to mention it. Oh, you're so skinny, you need to gain weight, you know, that sort of thing. Anyway, so there I am in the pool, and not being a swimmer, and I didn't have a float on or anything like that because I didn't intend to go anywhere. I just stay on the side, you know, and hang on, or sit on the steps, you know, that are in the pool. So there was this guy. I had seen him before, but he was much older than me. I'm thinking he was probably, I don't know, maybe 17, 18 or something like that. I know he was not an adult, but he was a big guy. He was, you know, he was big, and I think he might have even been tall for his age. But anyway, he could swim and he was swimming. And so the pool was crowded, and there I was on the side, minding my own business. And I didn't have anyone in the pool that I was hanging out with per se. I don't think. Maybe my brother might have been there somewhere, because he swam, not that much, but he swam, and so maybe he was there. I don't know. Him being in a different age group, it's not like we hung out together like all the time. So this guy, I don't even know his name, but I had seen him in the neighborhood before, maybe once or twice. He just out of the blue just pulls me from the edge where I was nice and safe. Just pulls me like to the, not to the very middle, but he pulled me almost to the middle of the pool. And mind you, where I was 3 feet deep. So it was 3 feet deep. And that was fine for me, no problem. I think I could probably even, I think my toes would, you know, touch the bottom or something like that. But I never really did stuff like that. I just kind of stayed close to the edge. So he pulls me all the way to the middle. My God, I'm thinking, what is this fool doing? You know, and I just couldn't believe it. And, you know, when you have a crowded pool, kids are doing their own things. They're not looking to see if someone needs help. And I don't even think they had a lifeguard. I mean, if they did, I don't remember it. If they did, they weren't doing their job because they obviously didn't see this guy pull me into the middle. So I did want to panic, but I tried not to panic. But I knew I was in potential deep danger. So I tried to remain calm, because when it comes to, you know, those types of situations, I tend to do the opposite of what other people would do, which would be like to scream, you know, panic or whatever. So I was pretty calm, but at the same time I was scared and wondering what in the world. And I just didn't know what was happening, because he just pulled me out and left me. And I could see that no one noticed. No one noticed that it was an issue. I mean, I wasn't screaming, so maybe that didn't help. Maybe I should have screamed. But I figured I'd probably be going down real soon, sooner than later. And I don't know how this happened. To this day, I don't. All of a sudden, I was just back where I was. I don't know how, but I think I might have moved a leg or something, and boom, I was just right back, like near the edge, like close enough to the edge where I could grab on, but I didn't I couldn't swim. I couldn't swim to save my life, put it that way. I didn't know how to doggy paddle. I didn't know any of that. No one brought me over to the edge, and there was nothing between the time that he brought me into, it wasn't all the way in the middle, but it was far enough from the edge where I was in a danger zone. And him being a big guy and me being so tiny, he was able to pull me fast to the, to that area where there was nothing I can grab onto. But in it was like in just an instant, I was like somehow just like magically back. And to this day, I have no idea how that happened. So the only thing I could think of, it was an angel or, a spirit guide or something, because nobody touched me to bring me back, and I didn't know how to swim, and there was no way that I could have gotten back there myself. And so that was my second cheating death episode. And I did go back and tell my parents, but back then they didn't have like cameras and stuff like that everywhere, and there wouldn't have been any need for them there anyway. But anyway, so that was my second experience, and it was wild. It didn't last long, but it was memorable to this day. I have not forgotten about it. That's how deep it was. So again, we asked the question, well, why, why was I saved? Was I saved so my parents wouldn't be in tears? What? And just as an aside, this doesn't really have anything to do with my experience, but my dad, he is a pretty good swimmer. But back when I must have been 13. I must have been 12 and a half to 13. I learned this, I guess, months after the fact or whatever, but or some time after the fact, that my dad was in a, I don't know what he was doing there, but anyway, he was in a pool or a lake or something like that, and I don't know what happened. He must have taken, I don't know if he took some medication, or I don't know what happened, but anyway, he found himself drowning. How does a man who knows how to swim almost drown? But anyway, something happened. I mean, it could have been he hit his foot and whatever. I'm not even going to go into it, but anyhow, he was drowning. And I wasn't there, but he was drowning, and a man came and saved him out of the blue. He said just out of the blue, somebody came and just saved him and pulled him out of the water. And I didn't learn this until, sometime after the fact. But I was thinking, wow, I wish I could have met the guy who saved him, because if he didn't save him, I wouldn't have had a dad for the, from that time, age 12 and a half or 13 or whatever it was. So that's just amazing. So weird, very weird. But yeah, I would have been completely devastated being a 13-year-old, and especially your dad knows how to swim, so that would have been kind of crazy. But anyway, sometimes we wonder why people escape these things, and as an adult, I have had lots of hospice clients. I did become a hospice, well, I did become a certified nursing assistant and a nursing aide and things like that, a home health aide and things like that. So, so for years I was, most of my clients were hospice clients, and so I've dealt with a lot of people on the verge of death. Uh, Now, I didn't become one just because I was trying to save the world, but maybe I was meant to do it so that I could, I don't know, um, I don't know if I to make up some karma or something. I don't know, from a past life. I don't know if you guys believe in that, but if you're watching this, you probably do believe in stuff like that. But I did years, I'm talking years ago. It was probably when I was maybe 16 years old, somewhere around there. I was in high school. And I told you at the beginning that I have had many prophetic dreams, you know, precognitive dreams, dreams that tell the future. So I had a dream so many years ago, and this may sound weird and bizarre, but I'm just telling you how the dream went. Uh, I had Actually, I think it was multiple dreams. Yeah, it was multiple dreams. It was, I would have this same, like a very similar dream over and over again, you know, for a short period of time while I was in high school. It was probably like when I was, I don't know, 16, 17, somewhere around there. Anyway, I had multiple dreams of the same thing. And the dream was showing me all of, sounds weird, but just hear me out, um, of old white women. And most of you may not realize this, but most people who are in nursing homes and assisted living facilities, and in hospice care, in facilities, not in their homes, but in the facilities, are usually white women. Um, you know, whether Aryan white or Jewish white or whatever, most of them are white. And I'm not saying that to be racist. It's just a fact because I've done it for years in many, many different places. So most of them are. So anyway, I had these dreams, and I was wondering why I was having these dreams, you know, about all these old white women. And mind you, my great grandmother, who was still alive at the time, she, if you know, if you saw her, you just see this, you know, white woman with blue eyes, and you know, and I grew up. She taught me how to sew. She, you know, she took care of me a lot, and you know, I spent the summers with her, um, you know, for years and things like that. And anyway, so I was wondering if the dream was somewhat, you know, had something to do with her. I also wondered if the dreams were trying to tell me that I acted like an old white woman or something, because people would always say that I was mature for my age. And I always, you know, growing up, people would always say, "Oh, you're so mature for your age." And then there would also be people who would say, "Oh, you sound like you're, you know," well, they say, you know, "You're proper." I won't go into the whole spiel, but you get the deal. So I was wondering if the dream was reflective of me, or I didn't know what it was. But it wasn't until many years later, that I realized those dreams were showing me that I would be working in these nursing homes and, you know, assisted living facilities, and in people's homes, and the majority of them were old white women. So that those dreams were predicting what I'd be doing at that time. So I know for a fact that's what those dreams meant, because whenever I'd have dreams over and over again, even if I just had one dream, but especially if I had a dream over and over again, it was definitely a prophetic dream. That's just how things work with me. Um, the other thing, as far as karma goes, I saved my ex-husband's life. Well, at the time husband, I saved his life 7 times. He used to take these horse vitamins, like they were like, well, not literally horse vitamins, but they were vitamins like big, that a horse's mouth could swallow, and you know, for working out. And he would not chop them up. He would just take them whole. I mean, those pills were probably like this. They were so big. And I would tell them, "Why don't you break the pills up? Why don't you break it up before you try to swallow them?" And he would say, "No, I guess it was a macho thing." and then he would get them stuck in his throat, and there I was. I knew about the Heimlich maneuver, and I gave him the Heimlich maneuver 7 times. By the 8th time, if there was going to be an 8th time, I was going to tell him, "You're on your own, buddy." No, I'm kidding. But and there was another instance which I will tell you about in the next video, as far as karma goes. So, you know, you wonder if you get saved because you did something to help someone else, or you get saved because there's something special you're supposed to do in your life. You know, sometimes people will say, "Oh, I have a special life purpose," and things like that. I mean, I don't think everyone has like one special purpose that they have in life. Maybe multiple, things that they are supposed to do, but I don't think there's like just one thing that you were born to do and only that. But who knows? And again, for my last video, what I was saying is that had I not lived through these things, I would not have been able to learn about the other side and things like that. Things that I've been trying to learn about for many years. I'm always, I'm constantly learning, constantly trying to absorb new information about, I guess, not to sound cliche, but why we're here, what's on the other side, what do we experience. And I have been, as of late, listening to a lot of the NDE, the near-death experiencers, expound on what they've been through and things like that. And because you can be searching for so long, but until you get some sort of proof, you don't always know. And I've been through a lot of different things, and I don't like to religion hop. That's not something that I like to do. And I could say that I've only had, well, I was born Episcopalian. I was baptized Episcopalian, but it's really irrelevant. I've been to a Baptist church. The church that I was in, where I was a fanatic, was a non-denominational church, and I had learned some things there. I had mind control done on me there. Oh, it was just a lot of things. I mean, you just never know what you're getting yourself into. But I think I'm in a place now where I've learned not all that I need to learn, but I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot as of late. And if I didn't survive those things, I wouldn't have gotten to this point where I'm learning those things and learning something that I think is really valuable, like getting out of the matrix. That's something that's definitely important to me. And I've learned a lot. So I could say I'm glad that I didn't succumb those times, so that I could learn these things, so that I can know what to do, like to get out of the matrix, and things like that. Anyway, that's a little deep for some people who might be listening to this. You might have to look that up, what I'm talking about, regarding the matrix. And it's not just the rat race. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, spiritually speaking, not having to reincarnate and knowing what to do, what happens on the other side and things like that. Luckily, I've never had to find out personally what happens on the other side, but I have had out-of-body experiences, which, of course, can't compare to a near-death experience, but it helps you to see how free, our consciousness is when it's out of the body, But anyhow, I hope you like this video, and you can follow me into the next video where I'll be discussing my next brush with death. Okay, so I will see you there.